and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1982A, and today's date is September 29th, 2019, and the title of the episode is The People Will Learn the Economic Truth. We are watching the coming attraction. Now, before we get started, I wanted to talk about protecting yourself. Nothing invokes full-scale panic like Wall Street panicking, but quietly, secretly, U.S. corporate insiders, they're preparing. CNN reported $600 million of stocks has been sold each day in August. This only happened previously before the 2008 crash. Meanwhile, gold is rocketing, and demand is at a 3-year high, according to the World Gold Council. Precious metals, gold, silver, as an IRA or 401k rollover will keep you safe and help you ride out the latest storm. Call Noble Gold right now at 877-646-5347, or you can hit the link below and you'll get the free gold and silver investment guide that has been downloaded over 50,000 times. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, what we are watching with the BREXIT, this is the coming attraction. Remember, the big kahuna is the central bank. That's the source to everything. Yes, draining the swamp is great, and that's the first part of it. But when all that is said and done, the main focus is going to be on the central bank. And what we're watching out in the UK, this is the coming attraction of how they're going to fight against the Patriots and how they're going to resist against the Patriots because they don't want their system removed. And that is what we're watching. This is the first stage of it all. And we know that the central bank, the EU, the establishment, will not allow the Brexit to happen. Remember what happens if it does happen. The world gets a view of what it's like where non-elected leaders, the central bank, doesn't call the shots. Guess what? The central bank doesn't want anyone to see this. This will go against everything that they've been lying about. And then everyone will learn the truth. They don't want this to happen, so what are they going to do? They're going to do everything they can to stop the Brexit, to stop the removal of the central bank. And remember, there are many layers before we get to the source. And we can see that these layers are going to block the Patriots at every turn. Just expect that. And we can see that Boris Johnson right now, he's on to them. He's been watching Trump, and he's realizing what he needs to do. Boris Johnson said that the U.S.-style system of political appointment for judges might be necessary. Top judges should be subjected to U.S.-style accountability, and he went on to say that the lessons of America are relevant. And of course, he's referring to the U.S. system of political appointment of judges and other measures. Think about what he's saying here. He's realizing that there's corruption within the legal system, just like there's corruption here in the United States within the legal system. Certain individuals were placed in certain positions, and certain individuals have been blackmailed to carry out a certain agenda. Boris Johnson is realizing this, and he's already pushing for change. Now, the central bank, the EU, the establishment, they're using the same tactics that they're using on Trump. Sky News tweeted out the following. The Greater London Authority has referred Prime Minister Boris Johnson to the Independent Office for Police Conduct for a possible investigation into whether he committed misconduct in a public office in connection to his friendship with American businesswoman Jennifer Arcuri. And as you can see, they want him to resign. They're starting an investigation. What are they doing here? They're following the same exact playbook as they're using with Trump. But we know that Boris Johnson understands what's going on here. Trump trusts Boris Johnson. Now, does this mean he's going to succeed? Hopefully he does. Hopefully he's strong enough. Hopefully he has those individuals behind him to counter everything the deep state, the EU, the establishment is trying to do here. Because this is what it's going to look like. Actually, I think it's going to be a lot worse once we get to the main source of the central banking apparatus. When we go to remove it, I think this is when everyone is going to see the real battle. Yes, we're watching the mainstream media now with the swamp and how they're spinning the truth. Just wait until the central bank is hit. That is going to be something completely different. So what are they going to find with Boris Johnson? Most likely nothing. They're trying to build a narrative. That's what the deep state, the EU, the establishment is trying to do. They're trying to build this narrative where he looks guilty. What do you think they've done with Trump? They built a narrative to make it seem like he's guilty. Of course, it's all propaganda. They have no evidence or facts. But we can see they're doing the same thing out in the UK as they were doing here in the United States. Now, here in the United States, we understand that the central bank system is completely imploding. It does not work long term. And when we look at wages, debt, and the wealth effect, you can see it. Now, according to the latest Census Bureau figures released this month, real American incomes remained essentially flat in 2018 after 3 straight years of growth. Median household income was around $63,179 in 2018, an uptick of about 0.9%. But when we go back in time, the median household income in the U.S. is unchanged since 1989. It's pretty much flat. While the top 1%, they nearly rose around 4 times since the 80s. That's a huge difference right there. And that's the problem. We have a problem in the system. We have the upper tier, and then we have the lower tier. And as you can see, over a long period of time, a central bank system does not work. It implodes on itself, and that's what we're seeing right now. In the beginning stages, we all understand there's inflation. We're coming off of a sound money system. And then they start creating currency, which means the dollar starts to lose value. And everyone thinks this is fantastic in the beginning. Oh, look, my house went up. Oh, look, my salary went up. Oh, look, wait a minute. Now I have to pay 20 times more for groceries than I did before? Yes, this is all part of it. Think about it. Take 2 households. One that is still on sound money, making $50,000 a year. I'm just picking that number out of the clear blue sky here. $50,000 a year. There are no credit cards, there is no debt, and there's no taxes. It's backed by sound money. The value of that dollar remains the same. So you go to the grocery store and you can buy 20 items with that dollar. Then you have another household, which is on the central bank system. They're making $50,000 a year. We've come off the sound money system. Now the dollar is losing value. But we're at the end stage of the system. We're both at the end stage of the system. The first individual is still on sound money, but there is no end stage because it's sound money. There's no interest on the money that is created because it's backed by something like gold. So that value stays the same. The other system is the central bank system where we are today. So you're making $50,000 a year and the dollar continually loses value. When you look at the other household, that $1 paid for 20 items in the grocery store. In the central bank household, that $1 can't buy anything. It takes $20 to purchase groceries, but the cart is only filled up a quarter of the way. Big difference. Now, to survive, this individual needs to take out credit because they need to make up the difference. Because how else would they survive? Because with inflation, you see everything continually rising and rising and rising. Wages are not. They've been stagnant for, 30 years. So now you need to take on credit. So you're making $50,000 a year. Your money doesn't go that far. You can't buy groceries, so you have to use debt. You use debt to purchase the groceries, and you start racking up debt. So now you have, over the year, say $10,000 or $12,000 worth of debt. Now you have interest on top of that. You know, credit card interest is what? 20, 30%? Maybe if you're lucky, 15. But you still have to pay that interest. Now, as time goes on and you look at both households, what do you see? The sound money household, their dollar still fills up the cart with 20 items. The central bank household, they've taken on more debt. Now they're up to $18,000. And the $20 that you used to spend on groceries, now it takes $30 to spend on those groceries. This is why you're adding on more debt. Look what happens here. Everything starts to fall apart for that individual making $50,000. And for those people saying, well, I get a bump in cost of living. All right, let's give you the 2% in cost of living. How does that help you? It doesn't. Why? Because the next year, inflation, which is hidden, which they're not really reporting on, makes it even worse. So you take on more debt. And the interest on that debt gets worse. If you miss one payment, what happens to the interest? If you miss two payments, what happens to the interest? It goes up. So this individual making $50,000 on the central bank system, it gets worse and worse and worse. The sound money individual, they're enjoying life. Think about this. Think about how these two systems are completely different. One we are experiencing today. Yes, in the beginning, it feels fantastic because all of a sudden I was making $2,500 a year. Now I'm making $5,000 a year. This is back in 71, by the way. And the house that I purchased for $15,000 is now worth $30,000. Yes, of course, it's on paper. It feels great in the beginning. Those people kind of benefit in a certain way. But as we move throughout the 80s, the 90s, people start to realize, and those people that have jobs, well, I'm not making more money, I'm making the same, I am getting a cost of living raise, but things are becoming more and more expensive. Those people are born in the 80s and 90s. They start off and they start to realize that it's even worse. Those people that are born in 2000, 2005, 2010, whatever it is, those people, they can't even survive. That's what we're seeing today. It breaks down over time. Why do you think we went from financing to leases on cars and they extended the terms? You needed more for the down payment. Why do you think they extended the mortgage terms for homes? Why do you think they extend the terms? Why do you think you need more credit? Why do you think there's such a push for credit? This is the only way the central bankers can make up the difference. This is why they introduce all of this, because it's part of their illusion. Their illusion makes you think that you're still doing okay. But when you really look at your finances, you're not. And I'm not doing this to be mean or anything like that. It's part of the central banking system. It's not your fault. This was placed on the people without us really understanding what they were doing. Of course, those individuals who did this back in 1913, they made out very, very well. And they told us it was going to be great for us. In 71, when we came off the gold standards, they told us it was going to be great for us. They always tell you what you want to hear, that it's going to be great. And whenever a politician comes out and tells you how great it's going to be for you, you need to think the opposite. You need to think, wait a minute, what laws are they passing? Let's read them. Let's understand it. And soon, the American people are going to learn the economic truth of what this system really is. And the patriots are going to present this truth to everyone. Everyone is going to understand. And everyone's going to realize that, wow, we are a lot better off without a central bank system. Look at everyone's lives. It's so much better. And this is something the central bankers never, ever want anyone to see or notice or feel. But it's coming. And this is why they're panicking. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.